I searched the best exercises to improve an anterior pelvic tilt using AI, and it gave the answer that I was expecting to and that many believe. One said to strengthen certain muscles, the other said to stretch. In this video, we're going to be talking about a more effective way to look at anterior pelvic tilt, why it happens, as well as what exercises actually improve it time and time again. Hi, I'm Alex Effer, founder of Resilient Training and Rehab. I've helped thousands of coaches and clinicians get faster and more consistent results with their clients. Let's get into it. Let's talk about why an anterior pelvic tilt actually happens so that we can understand why the exercises that we choose are going to be more effective. Now, one thing to make clear, having an anterior pelvic tilt isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, a lot of athletes use that as a strategy and a compensatory strategy in order to perform their sport, because what an anterior pelvic tilt does is it shifts our body towards our toes, which is very effective for producing force. If I want to get off the ground really quickly, I don't necessarily want my center of mass being way back towards my heels. I want it to be loaded more into the middle and the front part of the foot so I can get off the ground really quickly. The problem is when we do have this anterior pelvic tilt, it locks us into one plane of motion. We're not able to rotate effectively. We're not able to side bend. We are just going to be able to run in a straight line. And so it does have its trade-offs. I'm going to be losing certain movements. And so what happens with an anterior pelvic tilt is we have this arch in our lower back that then causes our pelvis to dump forward. Now we do this because we are missing hip flexion, internal rotation, as well as hip extension. So we are missing our ability to accept force and produce force. If we can't do that, we're going to do it at the spine. So we start to arch our lower back because we cannot do the movement of because we cannot internally rotate through our hips. So we will arch our lower back, we will flare our ribs, we will squeeze all the muscles on the back side of the body to push us forward towards our toes. Now the idea is, if I have my body weight centered over the middle part of my foot, so just think of your body stacked over top of your laces. This is the prime area that allows us to internally rotate and put force down to the ground. This is our explosive, our power area. That's where we need to have our center of mass. What these people will do is they will push themselves forward using other muscles and using their back, their lower rib cage, so you see their ribs flaring, as well as their spine in order to create that so that they can artificially move forward. Instead of being able to move through the pelvis and create the shapes that we actually need to allow that motion to happen, we artificially create that by using something else, an area that isn't supposed to be used to perform that. And what that does then is steals range of motion at the shoulder, at the hips, at the rib cage, at the pelvis, as well as below. And that then ultimately impacts our ability to perform certain movements and have all those movement options available to us. And it's exactly why some people feel low back pain, tension in their shoulder, tension in their lower part of the rib cage, maybe a pinch in the front of the shoulder or the hip, because they've maxed out on their ability to use this anterior pelvic tilt as a strategy. So now the load has to go somewhere else, somewhere that is not able to handle all the forces that it takes in order to land as well as push off. Now we're talking about 3 better exercises in order to improve this now that we understand why this is happening. And real quick before we get into the exercises, if you like this approach, want to learn more about how these compensations can not only impact movement but also what to do about it, then check out my Evolve Biomechanics mentorship, where we break all these down into the individual compensation and how that affects the whole body as a whole. The first exercise we're going to talk about is a prone sphinx variation. If you've watched a few of my videos, you've probably seen some variations of that exercise as well as in my posture program. But this is going to be slightly different because we want to impact the pelvis more. What we're going to do is, instead of having the pads that we normally have underneath our rib cage, we're actually going to put it underneath our pelvis. Now, the reason why I want to do that is because it is going to open up the back part of the pelvis. If I have it more on the rib cage, then I'm going to be bringing the rib cage back a little bit more. Yes, the pelvis will come back, but oftentimes when people have a lot of tension going to the back part of the pelvis, lifting up the rib cage is not enough because they end up by just squeezing their glutes or their back arches excessively. So by putting the pelvis on the pad, we're going to start to open up the back part of the pelvis. We're going to start to roll the pelvis back. And then with our arms, we're going to push our rib cage to stack everything up. So this position here, I'm going to put the pads underneath the pointy front part of the hips called the ASIS. That's going to go on top. And now what that's going to do is it's going to naturally posteriorly tilt the pelvis. Not like tucking your tailbone underneath, but by taking these ilium and innominates and rolling them backwards, and that's going to create space in the back part of the pelvis, which is exactly what we need to produce internal rotation. So pelvis is going to be there, we're going to be supporting on our arms, and then we're going to start to reinforce that position. So let me show you how we're actually going to do it, and let me cue you through it. Okay, we're going to take the top part of the ab mat. This could just be a rolled up towel. If you do just have a towel, then just place it on the belt line or where the pointy part is. We're going to lay down on our stomach, and what we're going to do is we're going to have our elbows out at about a V position. So they're not going to be tucked underneath, they're going to be slightly out towards the side. I'm not going to arch my back excessively where you see I'm really arching through this lower part of the rib cage. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my arms up slightly above, so that my elbows are going to be in line with my forehead. My hands are going to create a spade position. And then I'm going to slide my elbows away from my body. So I'm thinking about bringing my shoulder blades apart. I'm then going to take a big breath into my nose as I push through my elbows and think as though my chest is coming in between my shoulder blades. So again, I'm not back bending like this or my head is going up. My head is basically just lifting up because I'm pushing through my elbows. Then I'm going to take a big breath into my nose, and then I'm just going to breathe out, hold this position. And now as I do this, as I come up and up, I should feel a nice big stretch in between the shoulder blades. I'm not going to feel a huge stretch in my hips. That's not the point of it. I want the pelvis to stay nice and relaxed so that as I push myself back, I get my upper back to open, which is naturally going to open up my pelvis as well. And I usually get people to do 2 sets of 6 reps of this exercise, really making sure they're not lifting their head, they're just lifting straight up. The next exercise we're going to do is going to be a short-seated cable chop. Now the concept of short-seated is the knees are above my hips. And the reason why that happens is because if my knees are above the hips, my pelvis is naturally going to roll back. Now what I don't want you to do is roll your pelvis back so you're crunching. In fact, I want you to hold on to the cable and let the cable almost feel like you're lifting yourself off. And what you'll feel is you're sitting more on the center of your sit bone versus sitting on the back of it where you're tucking your hips underneath or really arching your back and leaning forward where you're on the front of the sit bones. So it could even help by going way into the other extreme where I'm tucking my hips and then I'm just allowing the cable to pull me. So now I'm on the center. I feel some load go through my feet. And then I've also got ramps to elevate my glutes. So if you think about these sit bones as being very similar to the heels, if I lift up my heels, that is going to naturally shift my weight forward onto my toes. And so I then have to automatically shift back. So this is a great way in order to maintain a good position of the pelvis without arching excessively and keeping the back space open. So I really like using this kind of strategy in the short-seated position. So then I'm going to take a big breath into my nose as I let my shoulder blades be pulled by the cable. As I pull down, I'm going to pull down right to the center, in between my legs. And take a big breath in here. Feel your chest and your back open, and then you're going to breathe out as you come back up. Now I have my feet outside of shoulder width apart, just so I'm able to create space, and as I pull down, everything kind of wants to come in, but I'm not letting it. I'm just allowing the natural motion of my hips and my pelvis to happen so that I'm able to reduce the tendency of using my spine to create that. So I'm breathing in as I get a nice reach to my shoulders, breathe as I pull down, still maintain that reach. I don't want to crunch and pull myself forward. I want to stay reached, and I'm going to breathe out as I come back. So third exercise, we are going to do a split squat variation where we're going to start in more of a high kneeling position. We're really going to be focusing on going up versus going down. And so how we're going to do this, we're going to use a cable. And the idea of the cable is we're going to pull it down. So I don't want it to be too heavy where I feel like I really got to pull it down. I just want it to be heavy enough that I'm able to keep my rib cage back, essentially. So I don't want you to tuck your rib cage or tuck your pelvis. This is about staying a little bit more forward on that left knee, making sure this knee is in line with my laces. Pulling the cable down is going to allow me to get my core slightly engaged and make sure that as I come up, I'm not going to be arching my back to do it, but I'm able to maintain a good position. So I'm going to take a big breath in here. As I breathe out, I'm going to hold this cable position down and press through the instep of my right foot. Then I'm going to come down, breathe in, breathe out, pushing through the right foot only. Try to minimize that back leg as much as you can. In this video, we talked about how the exercises that were chosen through AI, as well as the exercises that are traditionally chosen, whether you get rehab advice or from trainers, is usually quite flawed. It's really based on a strength and stretching principle and method. And instead, we're shifting our thought process into what an anterior pelvic tilt is and why it happens. And then we talked about 3 different exercises in order to overcome it. If this model resonates with you better, then again, don't forget to check out my Evolved Biomechanics mentorship where I break this down a lot more and in depth, as well as what assessment processes we may see that could be effective. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, save, subscribe. I'll see you next time.